Um, but welcome. You can see I have a different background. I am streaming in my living room. Um, but welcome. I'm excited for today's discussion. Got plugged in here. Let's get centered. So my friend, he had been working on this. I think he still kind of updates it, but it's such a cool. I don't know if you guys are seeing it backwards, but it's such a cool poster. Has all different kinds of information on it, 1 through 12 energies, and then all the colors, what they mean, and polarity, and all kinds of good stuff on it, which is really awesome. If you guys are interested, I'm sure people will pop on here in a little bit and they'll ask about what's that in the background. I kind of put my little bookshelves, together. You can see my little rock collection. Little. It is little. But yeah, just a collection of my books and just moved it out here so that it was a little bit more, everybody can look at it. So it had a better presentation. Okay. All right. Well, happy Tuesday. This is the Celestic Intelligence Podcast, and today we are talking about love bombing and all of that stuff that comes with it. It's really interesting. So, a lot of the times, I'm sure you guys, well, let's see, did I do everything? My name is Amle. You're listening to this Celestic Intelligence Podcast, and I am your host, and I'm also the founder of Celestic Intelligence Podcast. And I come on live every week to with an episode to deliver, something of interest that is happening within my life that I am just bringing forward and talking about. And so if it resonates, great. If it doesn't, then great. That's a good thing. Okay. So, one of the things I wanted to chat about is Mike's here. Mike is my first honorary moderator, so congratulations to Mike. Hi, Tyler. Mike is here every single live stream, so he's earned it and deserved it. Okay, so let's talk about love bombing. Why do people love bomb? Tyler, you're here. If you're here a little bit more often, then we can chat about that. I'll have a private chat about you. But Mike and I, we chat almost daily, and so definitely lots of trust there. Okay, but let's talk about the topic of love bombing. Now, what is love bombing? Love bombing is moving towards somebody that you want a connection with. And so you work to basically manipulate and just say all the right things in order to get that connection together before you lose it. Strawberry Don Vito, what's going on? Nah, no way, really. Well, there's lots of different ways. There's a reason I bring up love bombing, and it has to do with the way that our landscape is now. Is we have this interesting digital and analog landscape where we're trying to kind of marry these two things together, these two different worlds together, and make it make sense for us. So it's very much a psychological situation. There's a lot of energy that goes into it psychologically. Sometimes you think if you have had an interesting attachment to your parents or to your just in your relationships as a young child, it will be a very interesting psychological analysis to see how was my relationship with this person? How was my relationship with that person? So, I'll use myself for example. Like, I did not have a father growing up, and so my male relationships, there was an interesting attachment. There wasn't really any. It was like an anxious attachment. Does this person really care about me? Are they giving me that feedback information that is going to make me feel safe and secure? Interestingly enough, I had a great relationship with my mother, but as I get older, when I'm looking at my relationships with people and men in particular, a lot of men will come to me because there's something about my energy that ignites this like motherly energy. Even people will come in and say, "Oh, you know, you're this or you're that," and kind of paints me in a way where I'm like, "Oh, okay, I can see clearly that your mother wound is speaking, and I'm just igniting that just because of my presence in your field." I'm pregnant and it's not my BFs. I'm freaking out. Olivia, oh my goodness gracious. What are you going to do? Hi, Amanda. All right. So there's definitely like some Freudian stuff that we can talk about. There's definitely, a large psychological thing, but this is also, spiritually. It's just really interesting to kind of step back from, really tense situations and observe like what really is happening. Why is this person behaving in this way? Why are these people behaving in this way? What is really the root of what is going on in this situation? Okay. So, love bombing is one of these human behaviors that it is this pure longing and also this distortion of who that other person is. So, when somebody love bombs you, they're trying to say all the right things. And when you're young, you might even believe it. You might believe the things that the person is saying. And they're saying it because at some point they want that connection with you. There's this deep longing and also a distortion. Okay. This is a survival strategy. You can look at this as there's a term called anxious attachment, where if that person doesn't respond in the way that you want them to, like let's say I was pining after a guy, and I'm like, dude, I just not, and this has happened to me. Not now, but in the past, this has happened to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't see anybody else but this one person, and I'm gonna do everything in my being to show them that I am theirs and that I'm connected with them. It wasn't really a romantic connection as much as it was an attachment that had some psychological and, a little messy spiritual entanglement kind of carved together and molded together with it. So the energy was always off. So those relationships, as much as I would pine away and want those connections, it wasn't energetically there. They were not emotionally available. And, to a certain extent, if I'm doing the love bombing, I'm also not emotionally available. So it's almost like you have these two different beings trying to connect together, but they're both emotionally unavailable. So it kind of is this mirror and this revelation of your own self when you're kind of caught up in these interesting love bomb scenarios. Okay. So at the psychological core of this, we have this attachment panic. First, it's like, oh my gosh, I see this person. And then the second thing that you do is like, I'm going to do everything to show them like I'm sparkly and pick me. Okay. The intimacy is rushed. All right. It's like, if I can sink my claws into you and hold you and pin you down, if I make you feel so special quickly, you won't leave me, right? That's an anxious attachment. You're not going to leave me. If you see how special you are to me, you're not going to leave me. All right? What this is also saying, there's a few cores here. So one is this anxious attachment, and then the second part of this is low self-worth. All right? If I overwhelm you with adoration, you won't notice that I don't feel lovable. All right? A big revelation came to me a couple years ago. I was sitting with my friend and I was going through a huge grieving process because my mother had cancer. I was taking care of her. I was back to work and I was sitting with my friend and I was like, because there's a lot of self-analyzation that went through that whole process for me. It was very, very deep. And I just look over at my friend. We're just sharing a pint after work. And I was like, you know what I realized this week? I don't love myself. And it's not that I don't value my life. It's not that I don't, see my potential. It's nothing like that. It's, I would do things for others so much, it almost stole away from how much I could do for myself. And, when I started podcasting this year, which is pretty crazy, it's almost over. We're at 44. I think I started at like 7 or 9 or something. So I've been dutifully doing all of the weeks. I don't think I've skipped a week, unless it was when I was in Vegas. And even then, I think I did one. Anyways, I had to come to realization, and then it, I wasn't putting it on my friend of, I don't feel lovable. Oh no, it's cherry 7 Up in a wine glass. If I was, being really upfront with her of, I just being really honest and saying, I don't love myself. And this is a couple years ago. And when I started the Celestic Intelligence podcast, one of my revelations was, it's not the opposite of a narcissist is not an empath. It's not an empath. Okay? Those are not opposites. The opposite of a narcissist is an egoist. Somebody who doesn't even have any grain of individuality in themselves. They see what they want and they just copy it. And the echoist, so the story of Narcissist, and you guys can go back and watch the stream, obviously. But the story of Narcissus and of Echo, Narcissus is just sitting there looking in the mirror, or looking at his reflection in the water, and is just so caught up in his own self that he doesn't recognize that Echo's even there. And Echo doesn't even have a voice, can only say the last thing that she's heard. Okay? Just whatever anybody says, that's all she can say. She doesn't have her own individuality. She doesn't have her own presence. She doesn't, they're complete opposites. And that's the story. And that's why it's, a great mythological story, is because there's a lot of truth in that. So Narcissus is like completely in love with himself, and Echo isn't, just completely like enraptured by Narcissus. So there's no real connection there. And both of them end up lonely. Both of them end up, you know, not getting to what most of us really truly desire, which is a deep connection with somebody. Which is why you would love bomb somebody, right? Okay, so low self worth. If I overwhelm you with adoration, maybe you won't notice how that I don't feel lovable, all right? That's low self worth. And this is really crazy because I'd been taking all of these classes about self worth and personal power and all that stuff. So, you know, this is a couple years ago. I've been really, since I said that, like I was able to take action in certain areas and elevate that from being unable to stand up vocally for myself and say, you know what, I don't like that. I'm not going to do that. To now, I even empower other women or even people, it doesn't matter, like men or women. I empower them to say, you know what, just say what you want. If somebody said something to you, if you were asked, if somebody was asking you to do something for them and your answer is always yes, that's egoist behavior. But if you're like, you know, I'd really love to help you. However, I don't have the time. You know, I have a lot of things going on. I don't have the time to help you. I'm really sorry. I wish I could. People would, you're not going to like think any less of them. And the interesting thing is like when the echoist is presented with that, a lot of the times they're thinking, if I don't say yes, then they'll think less of me. All right. So that's where the self worth piece comes in. So start changing the way that you're vocalizing and changing the way that you're speaking about yourself. All right, the next piece of the psychological core of love bombing is control through ideation. So the the thing with this is that, can you guys hear that? I don't know what's going on out there. I'll close the door. I was trying to get, it's like a little warm out on this fall day, and so I opened the door because it's nice and warm outside. But the control through ideation is if I define what we are, if I define this, whatever we are, before you do, then I'm setting the tone. Hi, Jerusha. Good to see you, lovey. Then I'm safe. All right. If I define what we are before you do, then I'm safe. Okay. So it's not always, this is not always conscious. All right. This can happen unconsciously. You may not even realize it. And it's not until you have that self awareness epiphany that this is going on that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got stuck in this, whatever it is. And now I need to do something about it. So it's not always conscious. Sometimes it's the only way someone knows how to show love. And that's because that's how they were parented or how they were conditioned. And if you have this, it does not mean that you're a bad person. All right. It's not a reflection on your value whatsoever. We have not been taught this in our generations. Okay. Like we have not been taught the healthy side of this in our generations. Okay. Love bombing is pretty much a norm. And also, if you're in a love bombing scenario, like the digital impact, the digital age impact also has an effect on it too. So just keep that in mind. All right. Moving on to the next piece here, we're going to talk about the energetic signature that is love bombing. So really what it is this possessive magnetism, all right? So energetically, love bomb is an inversion of devotion. So it's the inverse of devotion, all right? And when I say that, it means it's the opposite. It's on the other, like it's upside down. It's inverted. So it mimics a sacred union, which people are in desire of, and that's why they love bomb. But it's actually a grasp for belonging. And right now, in our society, in our culture, especially in the Western culture, it's rendering backwards. Yeah, it's rendering backwards. So, this a love bombing is this inversion of that devotion. So we truly do want sacred union. We want to feel like we belong. We want to feel connected, like truly connected and seen and included in relationships. You like my lights? Yeah. I did a cute thing. So I have all my, what are they called? Flower crowns that I make. I guess not that one. I have some up there. Have all my flower crowns that I make every summer solstice. They're all dried up there. Just had to figure out where to put my dried flowers. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, sacred union. So instead of a connection flowing naturally and flowing through to people, the energy of back and forth, there's one person that's trying to pull that other person into their orbit. Let me pull you into my orbit. Let me pull you in and keep you here. And I mean, it gets crazy. When I go on long road trips, I listen to the Dating Detectives, and it's this PI, and she's been doing it for her whole life, over 20 years, and she tells these stories, and they bring people on. And in that environment, I get to listen to a lot of stories where there's stalking going on, and that is like a very deep love bomb, right? They're trying to pull them into their orbit. So when we think about this energetically, we can think about this like as energetic flooding, right? They see your light, they see your wholeness, they unconsciously try to merge with it because they cannot find that safety within themselves. A lot of the times, this is like a lack of grounding. And this is happening on a large scale because of how we interact with the digital technology world. All right. So the person sees your light, they see your wholeness, they want to connect with it, they want to be around it because they sense that there's safety there. They sense that they're being seen. They sense that there's a light there and they want to be around it. And so what do? They energetically flood around that whatever being it is. Much of the time, it's because they don't have that safety within themselves, so they're seeking that out. Now, if you are being love bombed, right, it is your responsibility and your duty to yourself, your sovereignty, and your agency to protect your energy field, all right? To have firm, strong boundaries from the get-go. Let the don't let that energy flood you. All right. You have a barrier. Just imagine a barrier around you. But don't people do this in the beginning of their relationships? They absolutely do. They absolutely do. Even when they're getting to know each other. Uh, they can, yeah. This is a way of getting into somebody else's field. This is a way of doing that. All right. So if they're energetically flooding you and it's unwelcome and you have your barrier around, then likely when somebody love bombs you, you're going to be very much aware of what is going on. And then you're able to interact with that person by setting, because your personal power is high, you've got those boundaries. You set a boundary and say, you know, I I really appreciate the attention that you're giving me. However, it's unwelcome and I'm going to ask you to stop doing it. And you know, if you if after that they don't respect your boundary, then escalate it to where you just cut them off. Like, go however you want to do it. It's up to you, but it's your energy field. Protect it because nobody else is driving your ship. Nobody else is driving your body vehicle. Like, nobody else is driving it unless you let them take the wheel. All right. And people do this. I really want to talk about what you're talking about, Mike, because yes, people will tend to do this when, especially in the dating scene. A lot of what I see is when you immediately love bomb somebody, like it's a bomb first and foremost. If you're going to be love bombing somebody, is it truly because you want to be with them, or is it because you're trying to fill a void within yourself? Da Roofer, wait, I think you've been in here before. I think that name sounds familiar, like I've talked to you before. I can't remember how long ago it's been, so welcome back. Duh. All right. So it's not that they don't mean it in the moment, because they do, but this is an unsustainable. If you're energetically flooding somebody else, it's unsustainable, okay? It's not truly love. It's just a craving for this fusion of identity, for that connection. And you can almost think of this as an energy suck, right? An energetic vampire is going to do this to you. Because what's going to happen to the person that had all the vitality and that light that allowed them into their orbit? They're going to be depleted. Okay? They're going to literally be depleted of their energy, being around that love bomby type energy. Now, remember what I said before, the energetic signature, this possessive magnetism, it's an inversion of devotion. It's not true devotion. So it looks like devotion, but it isn't. Right? This is a mimicry of sacred union. Now, when people get into relationships, and it shouldn't just be in the beginning of the relationship, this should be, if you're in a relationship with somebody, this is going on all the time. They're constantly trading the energetic affection, but it's not a one-way street like what I'm describing right now, the love bombing. It's not a one-way street. So really with a sacred union, it's like I have this, I'm bringing this, and this is my being, and then you're around, your sacred union, that divine union, and they're bringing their being together, and there's no energetic flooding. It's just a deep devotional understanding of two beings becoming one. Okay? There's still two identities, but the fusion isn't it's not a craving. It just is. I don't know. That didn't sound very smart, but it just is. That was my answer. Okay, good. I knew I had seen your name before. It has been a while. Well, good to see you, Derufer. I'm glad to have you on. Okay, let's move on to the next topic of the love bombing. We've got this collective dimension, which is love starvation in the digital age. So I've kind of alluded to it in my, other subtopics here. But if we zoom out, all right, and look at the even bigger picture, there's a bigger revelation here. There's a little bit more to reveal. Our generation, okay, this is not just the millennial generation. This is like the collective of generations that make up 2015. So what are we looking at? Maybe some silent generation, but let's look at mostly like the boomers, the Gen Xers, the millennials, the Zoomers, the alphas. Overall, there's this starvation of connection. There's this emotional malnourishment. All right. So, there's so much here. Sorry. I'm like very overwhelmed and trying to bring it in. But let's just kind of look at how we consume our connection, okay? We consume it, one, with texts, with likes, with reels, and there's never really any true satisfaction in that type of connection, right? You can have, I mean, I have 6 likes on this video so far. And if I was connecting that to my emotional worth, I would definitely feel like, oh, that's a little malnourishy. Like, there's all these other YouTube channels that make, they have 7,000 followers, and then they have all these likes and all this stuff. And if I was like doing a comparison of, oh my gosh, like, my channel isn't that good because of blah, 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 that wouldn't be, that would be, emotionally hurtful to me if I was like feeling that my personal worth was tied to how many people watch, how many people like, whatever. Obviously, I like to see things, improve. It shows that the energy that I'm putting out there is valuable to whomever is paying attention. But I'm very rich in connection and conversations. And so text messages, likes, reels, whatever is not like tied to my own personal worth. I have plenty to keep me occupied and satisfied outside of the technological communications. However, not too many people feel the same way. I mean, we've got a real serious situation where there's, the digital world has this deep effect on teenagers where they, might even up to and including commit suicide because of the connections that they're experiencing. Their brains, their prefrontal cortex is not very well developed enough. And if we're sitting in survival mode, which is beautiful, like the nervous system is a topic of conversation with so many people. But if you're sitting in your survival mode and your amygdala is driving your car off of the metaphorical cliff, that's a really deep thing. And teenagers still, their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed yet. It's not until you're in your 20s, your early 20s, when it's fully developed. Okay. And that is tied to our nervous system. Like if this is off, this is on, and you're in survival mode. And it's not fully developed in children. So you've got this really interesting love starvation because it's tied to these things that are outside of you. So when someone finally gives us undivided attention because of the way that we're interacting, if they start love bombing you, because you're kind of conditioned and trained that the likes, the texts, the reels, the interaction, how many subscribers do I have? When you do get love bombed and you're not, this is a new experience for you, you might associate that with love. Like we're literally programmed. That's why I said you're not, does not equate to, if you are in this situation, it does not mean that you are of less value if you've done this. Like we're literally conditioned from, early on of this situation that I'm talking about. Okay, so it is a serious thing. So there is a love starvation. So when someone finally gives you their undivided attention, or even speaks in this really like deeply affectionate way to you, hinting at this devotion, even artificially, okay? You can be, somebody can come on the back end and do these love bombs to you, all right? You'll feel seen and you'll feel like this person loves me because they see me and they're telling me all these good things about me, and we've been conditioned to a certain degree as, from a young age, that this is what devotion is. All right, Davrufer. Hi, kindred angels. Welcome. You're very correct on the human emotions equaling a car battery. It can be charged and rechargeable, but we're not able to be charged and not rechargeable. Us humans get drained and need, I think you meant need to be charged again. It takes extra effort. Yeah. Yeah, we're very much, when I, when somebody broke down how a battery works, it was like my mind, like literally felt like it exploded. It was interesting, right? Because we do operate like a battery. Maybe not a car battery, but since we're talking about driving off metaphorical cliffs, maybe that's right, the roofer. But yeah, we are definitely batteries. I love talking about energy. I mean, I spent like 2.5 hours at a coffee shop on Sunday talking with a girl that I just met and one of my friends about all kinds of stuff with like AI and this and that. It was really fun. It was a great conversation. But yes, we are batteries. We can be recharged, which is the parasympathetic response of rest and digest, repair, and regenerate. But if you're in survival mode, it will drain you and drain you fast, and it can take a long time to recharge. And I speak from experience. All right. Okay, so when we're being love bombed because of the way that the technology has conditioned us, we'll think, at last someone sees me. Here I am. Somebody sees me and I'm not invisible in this, big world of technology. But because either we're out of practice with slow, secure intimacy, or we've never truly experienced a slow, secure intimacy, that we'll be unable to metabolize what that is. All right? Because we haven't experienced. We're just like getting the getting the quick likes, getting the quick reels, the instant gratification. On that's the inverted part of devotion. That's an inverted devotion. A true devotion is like this long, slow, you know, very much connected exchange of energy. It's easy to metabolize. Okay. And it doesn't mean that if you're not here that you cannot learn it, because yes, you can. You can learn to not accept the love bombs and be, you know, at least love yourself first for who you are and not desire and seek out that external validation from others. Okay. So when you're in this love bomb or you're like wanting that love bomb, you're either clinging on to somebody and trying to grab them into your orbit or you're withdrawing. Okay? This is the anxious and avoidant attachment. And I think I've talked about this. I think I've talked about it on my podcast. But the anxious is like the one that's trying to grab it in, and then the avoidant is the one that just like don't attach whatsoever and hide, run and hide. Okay, we're flying. So love bombing has become a cultural coping mechanism for a collective that's forgotten what earned intimacy feels like or has never experienced earned intimacy. Okay? It's this interesting intimacy issue. Do you have children? I have two third. I do. I have two children. One is an adult child and one is 13. And keeps me busy. Does not like glizzy pups. Sorry, Mike. All right, I'm at 31%. Okay, now let's move on. So, what does this mean? What is this revealing in you? So, if if you're in if you're being love bombed first and foremost, when you're love bombed, this is an opportunity. So, the opportunity does not mean absorb it and just my son was lost due to fentanyl. Oh, I'm really sorry for that. To refer that, I'm very sorry for that. But when you're love bombed, it's an opportunity, and it's not an opportunity to absorb it, but to witness what part of you responds to it. All right. What part of you in this love bomb moment is craving that attention or craving this unconditional mirroring that's coming from this other party? And how do you respond to it? So when you realize how you respond to it, and if you're seeing things in that interaction of, oh, I really want that, I really crave that, you can address it, which is great, or you can learn how to stand in your sovereignty with that. So this happens quite often. I don't even know if it's AI or not, and I think this happens a lot to guys, especially in Telegram, that they'll get, well, I even get these texts. I don't even know how they got my number. But it's like just saying like, "Hey," and pretending to speak to somebody else. They're like, "Hey, this person," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. I think you have the wrong number, right?" And they'll start like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry." And then they'll like kind of go like keep talking and I'm like, "I told you you had the wrong number. I'm totally a 90s girl. Stop texting me. Stop calling me. Leave a message. But those kind of messages have been becoming more and more frequent, I've noticed. And I don't know if it's just me or if it's like a lot of people. The F you talking about? You don't get you don't get messages from people that are some of them are like I think it might be AI, like an AI chatbot monitoring somebody else's like on Messenger, on Telegram, they'll come on and it's like it's like women pretending to like want to date men. It's not me. Well, good, DeRoofer. I'm glad it's not you. Um, I don't know. I don't know if because I'm investigating a lot of this that I'm just noticing a lot, but I'll have people contact me like on my phone. That's how, is that what you say? That's awesome. Anyhow, I'll get these messages from people and they'll just like it'll be it looks like fake accounts and they'll pretend to really be into me and they'll love bomb at the beginning of like, "Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful, blah blah blah. Give me your number and we can chat." And I'm like, "I don't feel comfortable with that. No." And they'll keep going on up into this point. So you've probably had it. I don't know if you have or not. But up into the point of where like I've been like yelled at on just a text or whatever in the chat of like, if you don't give me your number, then it, they'll call me some name or something like that. Gorgeous called me and said it's embarrassing how beautiful you are. See? Okay, is it going up? Like, is that kind of stuff becoming more popular? Because I've just noticed it a lot more. And it seems like it maybe it's part of AI becoming a little bit more sophisticated. It's because you are so sweet. All right. Well, the roofer, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. Well, anyways, when you get these messages, when you start getting these love bombs, you can turn it into a moment where you can practice your sovereignty. All right. You don't want to get swept away in it. And you can turn it into your own, you can use it to turn it into your own medicine of, I'm protecting my field and this is how I'm going to do it. One is to not interact with it. You don't have to. You don't owe anybody any explanation. You just tell them no. Okay. But as those things keep coming at you, you can turn it into, use it as a situation to protect your energy of, those are really nice things to say. However, I'm not interested in that kind of relationship. Please, whatever you want them to do, please don't contact me anymore. Or please don't speak to me in that way. Or please don't, whatever. Some of it is AI and some of it is, I don't think it is. You're actually noticing it, which is great. Yeah, I think a lot of it is AI, and I think that there is, probably possibly other things going on. It's just an interesting, I don't know, I'm very strategically minded. I like how you tried to make your voice change. Me? I'm trying to follow here. So when those moments come, just treat it as this learning opportunity of how do I stand in my sovereignty and protect myself from the love bombing that goes on. And if I'm really that tied to my value is tied by the number of texts, by the number of likes, by the number of reels, by whatever this external validation is, it's a moment for you to really look and analyze, well, why do I feel I need to have that many likes? Why do I feel I need to have that many this much engagement? What about me is starving for that kind of attention? Just like if somebody is really coming at you and love bombing you, how am I reacting to that? Am I really enjoying that? Or is it something that is signaling something missing in me or something I'm missing seeing in me? All right. And this is how you stay luminous without being energetically consumed. It's swelled. Concentrate. Shoot, hold on. Beautiful is calling me. It's so funny. Well, that is my notes for today, I believe. Beautiful, beautiful said it's scared of your very cuteness. Is beautiful the name of your chat GPT? Hi, Abigail. We can freestyle. I have 26%. We were talking about love bombing. Love bombing being a mimicry of sacred union. Cuteness and I are texting. I want to know. I want to know. I know I should. Is Jerusha still in here? My sweet, sweet Jerusha. I've met them in real life. Sorry, guys. Okay, well, that's really all I had for you guys today. I know it's kind of a short one. Cuteness said they cannot compete with pure beauty. What chatbot are you talking to, Daroofer? I'm so curious. Yeah. Oh my gosh. They cannot compete with beauty. Oh. Cuteness said they cannot compete with beauty. I'm talking to you. No bots. You're a real human? Okay. I know. Well, it's 5:30, which I think is 8:30 Eastern, so it's okay. Next time. I'm trying to go on. I have another. It's 6:30 right now. Guys, I go to bed at like 8:30. Yeah, I start at 8:30 my time. I think you are very more than swell. Why, thank you, Daroofer. Don't love bomb me now. But wanted to have, maybe I'll just like do a random live sometime this week if I feel up to it. I wake up so early. I wake up at like, I've been waking up at like 4:30. And then just like laying in my warm bed while it's cold outside. And then taking my 40-degree, you guys, I've been biking to work at 40 degrees. And it's really cold. It feels great. You're on the CEO schedule. That's hilarious. I think Mike, if you have you done the Chronos, what's it called? There's a thing called the Chronos test. We'll just do some random whatever. We'll chat about stuff. And I think I was the bear. Let me see. What's it called? There's a name for it. It's like Chronos test. It's to determine like what your best schedule is. Chronology. Chronology test for time schedule. I don't know what it's called. I can never remember. I don't know why. But it's like this test you can see like the 9 to 5 isn't for everybody, or the 8 to 5 isn't for everybody. Chronotype. It's a chronotype test. And so there's 4 different kinds, but I'm not going to like ruin it for you guys, but just go type in chronotype and it will help you figure out when your best productive time is during the day. So before I took the test, I still liked to get up early and get to work early before anybody else gets there because I like the calm and quiet and coldness of the morning and watching the sun come up. There's something just, I really enjoy that time, which is odd. I was born at night. I was born at 7 at night. But I really love just waking up before the sun comes up and then being outside in the cold while like it's still dark out before dawn. So it's been really great biking to work because that's been the situation. So yeah, the bear, which is my chronotype, is the most common, following a traditional solar day and often adapting well to standard work hours. So the bear is where you wake up with the sun and go to sleep with the sun. And the sun is kind of going down right now. So I just found your company. Oh, good. I think it should be linked. But then there's other people who are like night owls and or maybe they have split times of the day where they're like more mentally active. And so that's where you kind of figure out where your good productivity is. You make ice on the side? Make ice. I don't think so, but I've been thinking about, well, actually, I haven't been thinking about it. I've been practicing dialing in some recipes, the Gorge Ice Company. No, that's not me. That is definitely not me. Of doing a cottage kitchen and baking things and selling out of my kitchen, which is great. Start putting all that canning to good use. Well, I think I'm just rambling on now. I will let you guys go. Love that you guys were here. This has been episode 44. I can't remember how many more weeks we have left in the year, but I think I'll get to like 55 by the end of the year, which is great. I think that'll be awesome. Gorgeous company. Oh my gosh. Duh. Well, it's good to see you, DeRoofer. Thanks for popping in. Abigail and Mike, good to see you. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for your dedication. I will come on next week. And just if you are following this, please like, subscribe, comment if you have some things that you want to talk about, or tell me about your love bombing situations. I have so many stories. I probably should have shared some. I just don't feel like sharing it right now. I'm I'm ready for a nap though. I will miss you guys. And okay, well, I don't know if I want to share it. I don't know that I want to share it right now. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. But next, I will pop on sometime this week. Maybe Thursday, maybe Friday, depends on and finish up my digital age because I did want to chat about that, the digital age, where I was going to talk about IVF baby, well, just the babies in general. I did a little bit of it on my baking stream, but I ended up like cooking and talking about food more than I did on the topic. So that just did not work out that way. So, yeah, that needs to have a little bit of separation. Pretty emailed you. All right. See you guys soon. Love ya.